In Consumer Corner, we take a look at trends creating a buzz online in China. On today's show, we'll discuss the dangers of doctor-patient disputes. Being a doctor in China has become surprisingly dangerous. This isn't because of fear of malpractice lawyers or unsanitary medical equipment. Dissatisfied patients are physically attacking doctors. They are literally beating up doctors. The typical way to handle disputes between doctors and patients in China is to call for an investigation into the case. If it happens to be malpractice, then compensation will be granted. However, because of the bureaucratic system and lack of legal order, the cases are often resolved at a very slow pace. As the issue of a patient dying is traumatic for the family, the result of the investigation and compensation by hospitals does not always satisfy the families of the patient. In this case, many people in China may not turn to lawyers or other legal means for help. Instead, they will turn to teams of underground gang-like groups. The function of these groups is to help the families fight for larger financial rewards from the hospital. But when I say they fight for financial rewards, I literally mean fighting. They will act like gangs or mafioso who organize people to disrupt the daily functions at hospitals. They get people to protest at the door of the hospitals, threaten and even attack doctors. There have been cases of people sneaking into hospitals pretending to be family members so they can break medical equipment and cause a ruckus. Recently, Beijing Youth Daily revealed that most of the attacking groups have gotten surprisingly professional and organized. They've established a clear market chain and have specific pricing standards. For example, the most common item on the menu is a sit-in protest. Groups of elderly people and women are hired to make a lot of noise at the gate of the hospital while holding posters displaying insults. As Beijing Youth Daily investigated, each protester is paid 300 yuan, or around $50 per day. Lunch will also be provided by the client. So this is a very appealing package for many in China. If the client wants to threaten doctors, then another $80 per person is added to the bill. If they want to attack the nurses, then smashing hospital equipment usually requires even more money. Of course, there is still a lot of respect for medical facilities. If an attacker is injured, then the client needs to pay for his or her medical treatment. The most recent incident happened in Shanghai's Shuguang Hospital last month. A patient named Ye registered in this hospital because of a severe kidney illness. Because of the serious organ infections, Ye died in the ICU of Shuguang Hospital. The family firmly believed that Ye died from the hospital's poor treatment. Ye's family rushed into the hospital with several young men. The attending doctor was caught and beaten up in the presence of patients. The purpose of this disruptive and dangerous behavior is to get compensation for what the family lost. As a designated proportion of the compensation is normally promised to the gang-like group, the attackers will try to leverage the hospital as much as possible. Some gangsters are even disguised as family members when negotiating with the hospitals. Many net users show a variety of opinions about attacks on hospitals because of doctor-patient disputes. One net user analyzed, quote, "Hospitals usually ask the patient's family to solve the problem via legal means. As the opposite party, the families usually reject the solution. For one thing, most patients are common people who know nothing about medicine and laws. And also, legal procedures are usually time-consuming and costly. The risk of losing a lawsuit drives patients towards those underground groups." However, another voice on the internet is blaming the whole medical system, quote, "This kind of underground market is actually brought up by the medical system. There are too many cases showing that the silent need to suffer the losses while riding gangsters can gain the money. Those hospitals are cowards as they bully the weak and fear the strong." Another net user also mentioned the responsibility of doctors, quote, "Doctors should also examine themselves on this issue. Many hospital workers are accepting red packets and bribes from patients' families. Because of these dirty businesses, many patients believe that all the doctors are profit-driven workers. When the medical treatment fails, everyone would just blame the profit-driven doctors. Doctors should not have made the mistakes in the first place." An interesting assumption was made by one net user, quote, "The hospital gangsters are making more money than those doctors do. No one will study hard to be a doctor, but everyone will rush to beat up medics for earning a living. However, when there are no doctors, what will come of our world?" The risk of attacks in hospitals has gotten so bad that they're hiring security guards now. You can pity the doctors and the patients, but there is certainly fault on three players here. The hospitals need to offer better compensation. The legal system is clearly flawed, and the third party, the gangs, would likely disappear once the first two figure their problems out.